tongue.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of fast, furious and frantic racing and the one and only middle-of-the-pack Racing League Winter GR86 Championship for 2024, as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available on PC, known as iRacing. And today marks the conclusion of the first half of the championship calendar, for it is round 4 of 8, and we are here in the US state of New York for the one and only mecca of road racing and the revival place of road racing in the US of A, that is Watkins Glen International. A circuit that is one of the oldest in the country. It is a circuit like no other when it comes to its combination of heavily cambered corners and extended straightaways to create absolutely no holes barred, adrenaline pumping racing action, where the racing goes from corner to corner, straight to straight, and doesn't relent until the checkered flag. But as our drivers get ready to go racing today, we welcome you all to this live broadcast from circuit side, albeit it's a post-round broadcast for your viewing pleasure. And what does that mean exactly? Well, this broadcast being live, but the racing action actually occurred earlier this week as of what was Wednesday the 7th of February. We're bringing it to you as if it were live this fine Friday the 9th of February 2024. And we don't know here in the commentary booth who takes victory today, alternatively who's the fastest driver out there in the preceding practice session. But what we can tell you is we're going to be on a journey to find out, and if you do know, please do avoid putting any spoilers in our respective broadcast chats. Speaking of which, this broadcast is available to you on 2 media platforms for your viewing pleasure. Firstly, today, you can be tuning in officially via YouTube at youtube.com and search your TX141TX, alternatively Paul Walsh, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via YouTube, including in particular there, he was there from the outset, Goofy Looking Hippie, who was cheering on Sunday GT Turtles, and we'll welcome to you, Goofy Looking Hippie, very happy to have you tuning in once again, and we also welcome you guys and girls via the other media platform, which is of course you could be tuning in via Twitch at twitch.tv/TX141, and welcome to you guys and girls on Twitch. Now you may be asking, who is TX141, who is Paul Walsh? Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Paul Walsh, also known as TX141 or Britain the Spit, depending on what media you follow me on, and I will bring you all your racing action from circuit side today, indeed over the entirety of the season. And speaking of our schedule for today, times in Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, or Universal Coordinated Time, UTC. As we can see, we've only got one item on the agenda today, and that is our first feature race of the season, and getting underway in approximately 12 minutes time at 8:15. We've got 45 minutes racing coming up, and the grid will be set by a slightly different approach compared to a normal qualifying session. More on that in due course. We have got an absolute thriller on our hands today, and we're looking forward to it, and I'm sure you guys and girls at home are as well. But speaking of how we got here today, indeed the journey so far and the journey that still waits us, let's take a look at our championship calendar. For we can see we are concluding the Classic Cup today, the first of our 2 cups, and therefore marking at the conclusion of the first half of the season. We started off all the way back on the 17th of January at the one and only Motorsport Circuit in Canada, and well, we got off to an absolute cracker of a race, no doubt about it, with the racing running from corner to corner there, indeed setting the time for what carried on the 24th of January at the Lime Rock Park Circuit in Connecticut of the US, the start of an American triple header. We got to see there it was almost NASCAR meets Toyota GR86's meets the Connecticut countryside, while our drivers staying extremely close and batting all the way through. And at the front of the field, it was the rise of Jason Landry having to fend off the charge of the likes of Franz Washing and Mika Hendricks and many more other drivers behind. And that story continued last time out in the state of California as our drivers took on the Willow Springs International Raceway, the Big Willow layout, on the 31st of January, making it the 3rd sprint race in a row. We got to see our drivers there battle against the speed and the elements, and indeed many in the draft succumbing to some understeer, but we got to see such brilliant racing all the way through the field. And I can tell you one thing, it set up 2 of our championships to have clear favourites, but in the AM class in particular, it's anybody's game out of 3 drivers, and more on that in due course. But today, of course, it's round number 4 at Watkins Glen International, and after today we'll have our mid-season break, a week's break for all of our drivers. They've earned it, and then they'll be returning what is the 21st of February for the commencement of the Far East Cup, a celebration of racing circuits on the far east side of the world, on both what is the Japanese islands and also in Australia. And we start off in Japan with a doubleheader beginning at the Okayama International Circuit with its recently revamped graphical layout on the iRacing simulator service, and you'll get to see that in full splendour in a couple of weeks' time. And then we'll be making our way to Tsukuba, the ultimate club racing circuit and the ultimate time attack circuit in Japan and around the world, and that'll be on the 28th of February. Then round number 7 for our final sprint round of the season, we're making our way down under and reviving from the grave the circuit known as the Oran Park Raceway, which was built over in 2010 and turned into a housing estate, but it's going to be back in the flesh for all the drives on the 6th of March, and then we bring it all to a close on the 13th of March with the one and only Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. And now our drivers will be bringing it home down under, but who will be our overall champions and who will be our Far East Cup champions as well? Well, that story is yet to be found. But let's give you an update on the championship standings after 3 rounds of racing, and we started with the Pro Drivers' Championship. And as we can see here, Jason Landry leads the way by 28 points over Jaden Callaway, and Landry really has been the one to beat. Of the back-to-back victories, Landry continues to run rampant, and right now, can anybody stop him? That's the big question. With Jaden Callaway sitting at 28 points behind, he's got the change behind him of keeping Francois Schink at bay, with Daniel McConnell only a further 6 points behind there. Indeed, it's a three-way fight for second place, but arguably on paper, Jason Landry just needs to finish the race today in order to bring home what is that Classic Cup trophy. But then from the top 4, we look to Logan McKenzie in P5 on 88 points. He's far out of reach where's the top 4, but you never know what can happen, and he'll be focused on keeping Mika Hendricks behind by 4 points, with Edwin Noffret, Carl Ranieri, Zachary Lovelace, and Milan Harris completing your top 10. But from the top 10, we have James Logston P11 on 51 points, 9 behind, and then we go to James D. Khan, 29 points, looking to get into the fight in the near future. We then come onto the Pro Championship, and much like the Pro class, we do have a runaway championship leader by 27 points. It's Julian Jones, and the ITD West driver has absolutely come alive since joining the middle of the pack racing league. Indeed, his first MPRL series, and he's not been daunted by it whatsoever. And Aaron Lara right now the main contender to try and chase him down. However, 27-point advantage, you would argue that Julian Jones is the favourite to take the Classic Cup trophy. But then again, who knows what could happen in this Pro class? Because John Lauzon, meanwhile, were the early favourites of the season, has fallen to P3 on 82 points, 4 clear of David Adeyiyi, and Sammy Hendricks then sits a further, which is 23 points behind in P5, and right now leading the rest of the field in the chase for the top 4. Because behind Hendricks is Samuel Bernardi, a further 4 points behind on 51, 10 clear of Kevin Clark, with Matt Best, David Turner, and Adam J. Ballard completing a top 10, and then Jermaine Warren bringing up the back of the field, Bester SP11 on 20 points. We then come to the AM class, last but not least, and here we can see it is completely different at the top. In the previous 2 classes, we had 1 driver running away. Here, we have 3 drivers, and they're separated by only a single point. Would you believe it? Kirk Lane and Nick Bader both leading on 102 points, ahead of Mark Senegal on 101. All 3 of these drivers have taken 1 win each. Will any of them become our first repeat winner in the AM class today? And will that be enough to secure them the Classic Cup trophy in the AM class? We'll have to see. Indeed, anything is a reality here. With Tim Chong, what is the best part? A 17th point behind in P4, and right now trying to hold on to P4 by a single point over Glenn Bratton. And keep your eyes on Roger Gnesh, Billman DaCosta, and Ian Henneberry, who are very quickly chasing up that hunt for the top 5. We then do have Kevin Manuel on 53 points in P9, ahead of Nick Yakubov, who on 47 points only has an 8-point advantage over Carl Peterson, who is best of SP11. And it's Jared Kelly, Jesse Jemison Jr., and Christopher Holiday who complete your championship standings. But then we do come onto the Teams Championship, and here, well, 3 rounds so far. We thought it was going to be Sunday GT Turtles running away with things, but not to be. After a sensational set of performances last time out at Willow Springs, ITD West are now only a single point of the Sunday GT Turtles. They found a way to close the gap, and we absolutely love to see it in the fact the rivalry is on between the 2 teams, and from them it's then the battle for P3 between Texas Speed Sim Racing, West Coast Best Coast, and Bear Pope Zero. The 3 teams being separated, but it's a margin of only 11 points. Meanwhile, Slipstream Sloss in P6, they'll be looking to hold on to the first spot outside the top 5 by 13 points over Team Bear Pope, with Alvator and Rich Energy 2 points clear of Forever Alone, and then Rockefeller Racing Esports Purple in P10 on 76 points. From there, it's Best of the Rest behind by 16 points of Rockefeller Racing Esports Red, Next Caboose Crew, and Photon Clan who complete your championship standings. And well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's come on to our circuit for today. For it is the Cup layout of the Watkins Glen International Circuit. Located near the town of Watkins Glen in Schuyler County of New York in the US of A, this circuit, well, it is absolutely iconic. And whilst the drivers are not going to be running the full boot course layout, we can still see from the circuit map providers by iRacing.com, and thank you to iRacing for that absolutely fantastic simulator and the superb track maps that come with it. We're still going to be running the original Classic Cup layout with the introduction of the bus stop chicane. And as our drivers roar their way around the 7-corner course, they'll find there's very few braking zones here, and it's all about managing to stay on full throttle for as long as possible and keeping in the draft of your rivals. For as they roar their way down the start-finish straight and braking downhill into 90 right at turn number 1, then it's going to be about abusing the road camber and getting back to the throttle as soon as possible for the raw up through the Exeter turns 2, 3 and 4. Completely flat out then, we can expect plenty of 2-wide racing action. They'll make the way down the back straight up towards the bus stop chicane by the inner loop, and as they make the way through the right, left, right chicane, they'll come onto the brakes of the outer loop. There it's all going to be about carrying the speed around and making sure to manage the understeer that comes with the corner being off camber at its exit, but get it right, they'll charge their way down towards turn 6, into the sweeping left-hander that sets them up for the right-hander to complete lap, albeit they've got to be careful the exit wall on the exit of turn number 7, because it comes very close to the circuit. Indeed, there's no runoff area at the exit of 7, and that could be where we see some rather nasty incidents. But as I try to get ready to go racing today, let's give you a reminder of the rules. They are slightly different because it's a feature race round. Setup-wise, drivers shall run a fixed setup as provided by the middle of the pack Racing League. The admins provide it ahead of each and every round to ensure equality between cars, but car fuel loads today have been restricted to 33 litres rather than the standard 34. Indeed, it's a slight alteration which does mandate a pit stop in the feature race. Now, in terms of that feature race, the grid order shall be a class reverse grid based on the latest Drivers' Championship standings. So that means the standings after what was round number 3 at Willow Springs, which you've just seen, will be taken in. They'll be reversed, and that's how drivers are going to be lining up. And the classes shall start in the order of the pros ahead of the Pro-Ams and the Pro-Ams ahead of the Ams, but they'll all be starting together. Now the race starts by a standing grid start, as it's a tradition of this series, with each driver having 2 fast repairs available. Should they end up in an instant, they can get back into the race, and a driver should receive a drive-through penalty if they accumulate 15 or more instant points. We should also point out that today, if there's a major instant during the first 30 minutes of the race, so the first 2/3 of the race, a safety car may be deployed at the discretion of race control, and I do believe we say hello to race control there in the Twitch chat in the form of Max LP80. Good evening to you, race control. I hope you're doing well, and well, we may see the safety car deployed up to 2 times if needed, depending on the severity of the instance. With that, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we head back to circuit side, and all of our drivers right now getting themselves set and ready to go. And it's been quite quiet here with 30 drivers in attendance today, a big 3-0, and indeed, what a size of field we've got here as we look to Mark Senegal, the Sunday GT Turtles driver, currently 3rd place in the AM Championship. At keeping point, he's only 1 point off of the top step, and indeed that battle is absolutely razor tight between himself, Kurt Lane and Nick Bader, and which one of the 3 is going to be walking away with it, given the fact that Nick Bader last time out took his first ever middle of the pack racing league victory in the AM class. Indeed, a complete shock and surprise, but one he'll be absolutely pleased with. And can he bring it on home today? I think he's going to now believe the dream is real. Meanwhile, Mark Senegal will be hoping that last time out was just a blip, and he's going to be back on form today to become the AM class's first repeat winner. But as he makes his way down the start finish straight, and meanwhile behind him you can see there what I believe is the car of Mika Hendricks. Well, Hendricks there in the Lego machine, racing for West Coast, Best Coast. Always great to see him out there as he heads on down towards turn number 1. And as he does so, we have one new driver on the grid today, and that is in the form of this driver, all the way towards the back of the pit lane. Hopefully we can get a closer camera angle, and there we can see is Jason C. Lynn, the privateer, who's joined the series as of this round and will be in the AM class in the 261 car. So do keep your eyes out for Jason Lynn whilst he's out on circuit today, and also we do wish him the best of luck on his debut. And I do believe this is the first ever middle of the pack Racing League series that Lynn has participated in, so we look forward to seeing how he gets on and mixing up with his fellow AM peers. But indeed, we've got a lot of AMs here today, 12 AMs on the grid. Meanwhile, we're going to have 7 Pro-Ams on the grid, and in the Pro class we've got 11 Pros, so it's an absolute cauldron of mixed up classes here, and well, they will be all starting in class segregation, but I get the feeling by the end of the first lap we're going to see a lot of intermingling and plenty more. But as we do, look to Roger Ganesh making his way on down through the S's or up through them. He decides to park the car up and tow his way back to the pits by looks of things. He knows it's almost time to go racing. We look to Forever Alone's Francois Schink, and that's the team name there. We're not trying to insult the man, and as he makes his way up the hill through turns 2, 3 and 4, roaring his way through the right, left, right, well, he'll be feeling confident he can take a win today, given the fact he's been so close to victories over the last couple of rounds, but they just have not come to be. But he's been battling for the podiums and taking them. Well, right now as he gets himself set, I'm not sure if he's where he's on camera there as he weaves from side to side. I think he might have a little bit of a feeling he's on camera, and as he makes his way into the bus stop chicane, well, we are only, ladies and gentlemen, 5 seconds away from going to the grid for our first feature race. 45 minutes of racing action here in the US state of New York. It's brilliant conditions today, an ambient temperature of 31 degrees centigrade. In fact, I believe that's the track temperature, and the ambient being a bit lower. But either way here, it's sunny, it's a clear sky, and that can only mean one thing. It's a great day to go racing in the US of A. So as our drivers make the way onto the grid, we can't walk you through the grid due to limitations of an iRacing replay file. However, what we can do is start to see our drivers lining up on that grid, and indeed we will be seeing all of our pros starting ahead of what will be our pro-ams, and then our AMs at the back of the grid. But as they all get themselves set and ready to go racing, well, it is definitely going to be fast and furious off of that front row, and I do believe, unless I'm mistaken, we're going to be seeing the Texas Speed Sim racing driver Zachary Lovelace starting quite far forward towards the front of the grid. Indeed, once everybody does get into their positions, we will see that time and left hand side of the screen shuffled, and it will show them in their correct positions for the purposes of this grid. But we are just waiting for the last couple of drivers to take their spots. Almost everybody in place now, and we will be getting the countdown short. We're just waiting on James Carr, who I do believe will be the driver who starts on pole today, and Will Lovelace will be starting P3 behind him in a line, and then just alongside him there, just trying to discern the car that's going to be parked alongside him. I believe that's Milan Harris. Indeed, that's confirmed there for Rockefeller Racing Esports Red, but it's James Carr who takes pole position, and the lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go for one and only race day as James Carr gets a good start of the line. They roar their way down towards 90 right. But as they do, look at Carl Ranieri in the rear of the picture. The Pepto-Bismol drive immediately cutting to the inside to cover off it's McKinsey as he looks to attack. And they make the way through the opening corner. All the drivers coming on down here. Multiple 2-3 wides. A bit of door rubbing there between the 177 and Ian Henneberry. We had a bit of an incident, however, and in fact we've had drivers, I think. Carl Ranieri's been involved in a bit of an incident a bit further up the road. Not quite sure what's happened there, but as they make the way through, in fact, Ranieri has been turned around. He's already back into the pits, so the car's been towed. But meanwhile, our drivers roar the way through. We do look to the blimp camera here as they make the way on through the S's. Everybody, most drivers are safely on through so far, but as they now make the way in towards the bus stop chicane, 3 wide there between McConnell and where's Harris and Shink as they head down towards the braking zone. As they do, well, it's going to be reverse motor manoeuvre here as we do see Harris backing out. 9-3 does not going to one at the best of the times, let alone 2. Meanwhile, on the rear view picture, it's pandemonium. That's Mark Senegal who's been turned sideways, one of the AM Cup Championship rivals, and as he brings it back together, well, I think a couple other drivers involved in that incident as well, including what is down, unless I'm mistaken, Jesse Jamison Jr., but it's a disaster for them, and as they make the way on around, oh my good lord, and coming out of what was the inner loop right-hander, that's multiple drivers. That's always, I believe, Nick Bader to the wall, and with that, Nick Bader's race now coming to an abrupt halt. There was another driver with him, we're not quite sure who, but that is a drama, and very early drama here at the Watkins Glen International Circuit as they roar the way into another lap, and as they come charging down towards turn number 1 with Zachary Lovelace who leads ahead of Logan McKinsey P2, Edwin Offred P3, Mig Hendricks P4, Francois Shink P5, Daniel McConnell P6, Milan Harris P7, Prime leader Matt Pest P8, ahead of Jason Landry P9, Jaden Calloway P10, and then we do have your AM leader all the way down P16 and Kevin Manning, and well, Manning right now, after what's been a dismal start to his season, trying to bring himself back into contention for Votan Glen and doing a very good job so far. John Lauzon right behind you. You can see there in the Lego machine for West Coast Best Coast, but as they make the way through the left hand of their turn number 3, right now Manning off the racing line. He's going to have to be careful here because he's going to get very tight very quickly as they make the way out of 4, but they'll give each other the space down the straight, and as they make the way in towards the bus stop chicane here, now it's all going to be about who wants to back out, and the same story does apply here in the side-by-side battle between Jermaine Warren and what is David Adeyeye. Adeyeye gets ahead. Warren has to back off slightly there as he rejoins in the conga line, albeit the problem for Warren is in the fact that by coming off a race line, going slowly, and that's going to lead to a bit of a rub there between Jones and what is Warren, as Julian Jones says, I'm not waiting around for you, as they make the way out to turn number 5 and in towards the run towards 6 they go, but as they head on down towards the next braking zone, with these drivers right now all on the offensive, and John Lauzon looking to the inside versus Kevin Clark coming onto the brakes here for turn number 6. It's going to be tight to the apex, but the Canadian driver gets it done, as meanwhile Clark leaves the door open and Lauzon immediately takes his place in front, but from them Edwin Offred into the wall. That's on the exit of turn 7. Car parked up, he's got the brakes on there, stop it rolling backwards, trying to get it off the racing line. I think all the drivers will be getting a flag waving on through to say there's been an incident, but meanwhile got a couple of drivers into the pits, including Best, Callaway and Harris. Is there a safety car or something out there, because it's a big dive from a number of drivers to the pits, and I think we may, unless I'm mistaken, have a safety car. Indeed we do, ladies and gentlemen. The safety car has been called, and well, the racing now has come down to a lower pace after what's been 2 incredible laps, the start of our racing here today in our first feature race of the season. And well, as all the drivers now begin to group up behind the safety car, that will be in response to the multitude of incidents we've seen, and therefore a number of drivers, I think, dive into the pits in order to take fast repairs. It will put them towards the back of the field, but they will be able to rejoin the field, and they'll be part of the long line of cars as we go racing at once again. Now, we should point out this is the automated safety car on iRacing, so it will last a minimum of 2 laps, but at the discretion of race control, it may be extended in order to enable drivers to catch up to the pack. But we have had a lot happen in these opening laps of racing, and well, this gives us plenty of time to dissect what exactly has happened. Well, the first things first is the fact that Zachary Lovelace, who you see here, the Texas Speed Sim Racing driver from the US of A, doing a fantastic job in terms of his race start and holding on and breaking away from a good number of his rivals, including James Decar, who was the pole sitter. And well, for Lovelace right now, he's got Logan McKinsey behind, Vic Hendricks, Franz Washing, Daniel McConnell and Jason Landry. That is your top 6 of pros. And then P7 is Aaron Lahr, who's found his way into position ahead of David Ide with Julian Jones down in P9 there. And Jones right now the one to watch out for, as the ITT West driver has picked his way through the prime field very quickly indeed from the back of the field on the grid. But then we do have Kevin Manning just behind Jermaine Warren. Jermaine Warren completes your top 10. He is your 4th place prime driver. And then Kevin Manning is your leading AM driver, P11 at the moment for Votan Clan. And he does have John Lauzon and Kevin Clark between himself and Ian Henneberry, your 2nd place AM driver, Billman DaCosta, P3, and Bearpo Zero in particular, having a fantastic start to this race, getting multiple places. Both Henneberry and DaCosta making progress, and they'll be hoping more progress is to be made, and they're not too far off of Kevin Manning as they make the way on through what is their turn in number 7 with Jason Landry into the pits. He's decided to come in for some repair work to the car. He's not too happy about it, and as they make the way on down towards what is turn number 1 once again, coming in towards the braking zone, I do believe there's been a bit more of an incident that meets the eye with regards to the fact that Matthew Best there in the YouTube chat advising there was quite the contact in towards what was turn number 1, and I don't think we quite caught that with regards to what would have been our prime drivers involved. That indeed a combination of primes and pros as well. Indeed, a number of incidents all the way around the circuit, but that explains a bit of the story in the fast repairs being deployed, and thank you for clarifying there, Mr. Best, in the YouTube chat. We also say hello there to Speed Tech, who says you're on the TV, to Zach Lovelace in the YouTube chat, and we'll good to see so many of you tuning in. But as they make the way around now on the 2nd safety car lap here, the 1st safety car caution that we have seen called today in this race. Of course, our race time is gradually ticking away here. There's no pausing of the race, and there's no red flags as such, so it does mean our 45 minutes will now be reduced. But how does that change the racing, some of you may be asking? Well, do keep in mind that with regards to this race, our drivers do need to pit at some point in order to take on fuel, and I believe we are seeing some wave rounds at the moment for drivers, including Carl Ranieri as he makes his way down. In fact, I think he's being asked to get back into position, so therefore he's waiting to pull in behind the right car, and he'll be guided by the iRacing UI system, as we also do see there Jason Landry now picking his way back up through the field. But coming to our point, before we get distracted once again, or sidetrack we should say, because this race does see our drivers running 33-litre fuel tanks and they are expected to come into the pits to take some fuel, well, that fuel stop now becomes considerably shorter. In the fact, they're running at less pace and therefore less acceleration, less deceleration, and therefore they are technically right now extending the life of that opening fuel tank. So with that, our drivers will now be thinking as well, can they also do a bit more fuel saving? Well, if they are able to do some fuel saving, and it does work out quite nicely for them in the fact they may be able to shorten that pit stop even more. And if we do see a further safety car, we've never seen this happen in the Middle of the Pack Racing League Series, as far as my memory serves me correctly, albeit in fact I do think we may have, no, in fact we've never seen it happen, but could we see a 2nd safety car go long enough to cause drivers to consider to go for a no-stop strategy? We never know what could happen here. Of course, we don't want to see the race behind the safety car for too long, but as they make the way on through, I do believe the safety car may have been called on in, and if so, we are going to be going racing once again as Zachary Lovelace takes us onto another lap of racing, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there we go, racing into turn 1. It's green flag, and as they make the way on down into the braking zone here, well, Daniel McConnell battling on the inside of Adeyeye. Adeyeye getting a phenomenal start on the restart. Car turns there. That's Jermaine Warren who's gone around, and well, he's going to fall all the way down the order as they roar their way back up to speed, going through the S's and coming up the hill now. Well, Ian Henneberry also having a great start. In fact, going on the attack here with the AM lead versus Kevin Manning as they make the way in towards turn number 4. Side by side they go. Space being given between both drivers, and as they make their way down the back straight here right now, it's going to be Henneberry on where's the right of your picture. Meanwhile, it's going to be Manning on the left. They'll switch around. Manning's going to have the inside for the first part of the bus stop chicane. I think the Bearpo Zero driver's not going to back out. In the end, he's made to as he tucks in there. You can see the momentum lost with Billman DaCosta right behind, but I think Henneberry's going to have the comfort of the fact he's got a fellow Bearpo driver behind, and therefore there's less pressure to make this move immediately because he hasn't got to worry about losing the place. as they make the way off a turn at number 5 and round they go and on towards turn number 6 they charge, and meanwhile further behind the pros had to pit earlier on after that instant into what was the last corners we've been corrected now. Do appreciate the further information coming into the YouTube chat. In fact, last corner instant we've got a number of pros trying to pick their way through the field. Melon Harris being one of many, Jason Andrew and Carl Ranieri as well, and Harris right now trying to find a way past Roger Ganesh. He can't seem to do so, but Ranieri looks to move. We jump on board here with the privateer in the number 84, and well, they're battling for what is P7 in the pro class. Gets a better run compared to Landry coming out of turn number 7, and right now looking to go down the inside of Harris into 90 right at 1 as they get ready to go onto the brakes here. Hard and fast on the ankles they'll go, but both drivers will be eager to go as late as possible, and Ranieri does that best as they make the way through 3 wide just behind, and that's Landry Callaway and also Best, as meanwhile running wide goes Landry. Best right now the privateer from Texas Speed Sim Racing, but not part of the team due to driver points limits, so they make the way up the hill through turns 2, 3 and 4. But right now Best trying to squeeze into the inside there of Wes Callaway, but can't find a way into turn 3. He's going to have to wait behind as they make the way and through, but as they come down through turn number 4 and onwards towards the bus stop chicane, meanwhile at the front of the field Mika Hendricks has drafted his way into lead ahead of Lovelace as they make the way down towards turn number 5 now into that downhill rolling right-hander, and well, it's going to be a long race as we ride on board and look back from the rear at the West Coast Best Coast machine, the number 82, and well, Hendricks, it's been some time since we've seen him lead a lap in this series, but right now he'll be absolutely going for it. You can see they're trying to give the toe to McKinsey to give McKinsey the opportunity to go fighting versus Lovelace, but Lovelace immediately backing off there. Nine, there's no value in fighting this early. I think trying to save some fuel and also save some life in the car, and also the tyres are definitely going to take a beating here today, and that may be something on the minds of our drivers and keep a bit of tyre life towards the end of the race. They may just be able to carry a couple mile an hour more through the corners compared to their rivals, but as they go on to what is lap number 7 now, charging away and down they go once again, and meanwhile Francois Schenk now looking for a move versus Lovelace into turn 1. On the inside goes the number 18 driver from Forever Alone, and well, the Texas Speed Sim Racing driver is not going to give in here as they both make the way on to the stretch up through the S's now, still side by side as they make the way uphill right into left they go, giving each other ample spacing. That's the thing with these 2.4 litre 212 horsepower Toyota machines, isn't the fact that you can go side by side through most of the lap here and still carry all the speed with you. You don't want to lose too much because it takes an eternity to get the speed back under acceleration, and as they make the way onwards towards the bus stop chicane, this time here comes what is Daniel McConnell and also David Adeyee. They're all looking, they're all scrambling as they make the way into the chicane, and Adeyee right now on the inside to outside as they go for a bit of a contact there with what is Lovelace, but in the end manages to get things stabilised. That could have been hairy, but as they come down through 5, brilliant racing between them. You can see the gap that's opened up to Shink from Lovelace. It's opened up to 9/10 almost through that tiny little tab, and as they come through and around, meanwhile further behind we can tell you that it's starting to split in the field with Kirk Lane for Bear Coke Zero trying to knock his way past Tim Chong, who has found his way into P3 in the AM class and needs to be fighting for the final podium spot in the AM class, with Mark Senegal behind Lane right now. This takes a more dramatic turn in the fact that they're battling for what is that Cup Championship crown in the AM class, and they do have what is drivers behind them, the likes of Nick Bader and company, who are a long way back, but just gradually trying to get closer and closer to this as they make the way onwards towards turn number 1. As they make the way out of the final corner, well, you've still got the pros trying to pick their way through from further down the field, including Callaway, Landry and Loffray, and well, it's going to be what is Carl Ranieri there, who right now flashes lights saying, I'm coming, you better be ready for it, and the pro driver there dives to the inside of Bratton into 90 right, looks at Ron DaCosta, but I don't think he's going to be able to find it, just hoping he can tuck in now, but he's still got a bit of an overlap there with Bratton. He can't pin on him, but Bratton does in the end. But meanwhile, they might be all the way down, battling for which P21, but it doesn't stop the pro drivers from fighting hard as Landry here tucks in by Milan Harris, gets ahead of Best and Callaway. The pro driver there of Best absolutely putting on a pro performance, no doubt about it, to be fighting with these guys. And as they make the way onwards towards the bus stop chicane now, well, it's more two wider as they make the way in towards the braking zone. Landry on the outside to join down the inside and does exactly that, making his way past Harris. And right now I think Harris has decided, okay, if you want the place that much you can have it, but I'm going to follow you now all the way up to Bratton and company up the road. As they come on through turn it now to 5. Meanwhile, we look to your prime leader David Adeyee and the privateer in the 132. Well, right now definitely putting an absolutely solid performance, but look at the split in the field, and it is your top what is 13, who've now got a 3.5 second gap to the rest of the field, is led by Tim Chong. So you can see where all the little elements of fighting are starting to grow up between drives. It's causing the field to fragment, and you don't want that early on. We saw it at Lime Rock Park, we saw it at Willow Springs Raceway last week, where we did have what was a 10 car fight for the win that gradually dissolved into a 4 straightaway fight for the win at the end of the race. Nobody right now wants to lose the pack in front of them. But there are those small altercations or small battles, they lose it very quickly, and as soon as you get to 1.5 seconds for the car in front of you, you lose the draft as they make the way up the S's and will come in on through. And meanwhile, Adeyeye has got the whole host of primes behind him of Lar, Jones and Lauzon. And speaking of Lar and Jones, well, they go side by side for turn number 3. Lar still trying to hold the position, trying to make sure that Jones doesn't get ahead. I think worried that if Jones does, he'll work with Adeyeye, giving them both Mighty D West in order to try and break away, and therefore he wants to sandwich himself between the two of them to make sure they can't have the race they so desperately want as they head in towards the right hand of turn. Excuse me, turn number, what is that then? Well, in fact, it's not number the bus stop chicane, but now they make their way into the right hander at turn number 5. We're coming on down the round, we head towards the end of the first third of this race, and still plenty of racing to go. Unfortunately, we have had retirements for both Jermaine Warren and also Justin Jameson Jr., but keep in mind, we do still have 28 cars running all in the lead lap. Nick Bader's the only driver not in the pack at the moment, but if we were to see another safety car, Bader would be right into the back of the pack, and he'd be back there once again, and he could still yet be an element in this race. Indeed, nothing's over until the checkered flag, as they say, and that's why you've got to be in it to win it, and that's why there's the participation raffle prize at the end of the season. As they make their way out of the final corner, you can see all the drivers right now continue to extend the exit corner, running as close to the exit board as they dare to dream to do so, all with the same common goal here. As meanwhile, we can see Adeyeye and where's Jones? Well, Jones getting clear of Lar in the end, and now trying to push Adeyeye along as they make their way along the stretches, but as they come off of the straightaways and into the corners, backing off in order to avoid contact and pushing his rival, but as they make the rival stroke teammate, and as they make their way to the S's now, again we'll see more of that as they make the way on to the back stretch. In the back, you'll see Adeyeye just gradually being pushed. That's going to be worth about 1 to 2 more miles an hour for the leader of this pack. I think also trying to get them closer to what is the top 4. Given the fact you're looking at the battle for P5 overall right now in the prime lead. I mean, the top 4 of Hendricks, McKinsey, Shink and Lovelace. They're in the foreground of your camera. They've just passed the cameraman, and at the pace they're running right now, they're just gradually saunting off into the distance with the lead of this race. But meanwhile, further behind, we're starting to see a bit of a scramble here as it's 3-4 wide. My goodness, as they come in towards the bus stop chicane, that's Kurt Lane trying to defend on the inside versus Landry, and Ranieri behind, and Jason Landry right now, he's got to go if he wants that Pro Cup Championship crown, given the way this race has started, as they make their way down through turn number 5. And for Lane, he's on the outside, he's going to try and just simply sweep the momentum on around, but Landry gets his mark, and his man as Ranieri now looks to do the same, tucking in behind Landry. And what we do know that Landry and Ranieri have worked closely together over the course of many a racing season, as they make their way in towards the left-hand turn in number 6. In the end, Ranieri does back off. Lane's given the space to operate into, and I think Ranieri right now will be trying to size up an opportunity sooner rather than later. But as they come on down from all of this, Tim Chong has fallen to P5 in the AM class at one point, very comfortably running towards the head of this pack from what was the battle for P14, and therefore P3 in the AM class ahead of Kurt Lane, but since then has fallen back down the order and let Lane go. And right now it's Best and Callaway for company behind him as they all make their way on to what is an 11th lap of racing. Well, as they come off the corner, you can see there Best getting the better exit, but the problem is now he's got to come off race 9 to get to the inside initially, and that's costing both of them more time. A little bit of a tap there between the two as they make their way into turn number 3. Got to be careful of those small taps, they can be fatal going up through turns 3 and 4, but they make their way out of the S's. No such thing occurs, as meanwhile Lane and Senegal still battling here, and Mark Senegal right now, well, you can see it's Landry and Senegal trying to pull each other along. Meanwhile, Lane on the outside and more in the air. Oh my goodness, and that is a hit to the wall for which Mark Senegal, he comes across the road, the suspension has collapsed on the car, and my goodness, is that going to be another safety car, as that's Tim Chong caught up in the instance. The car rolls backwards across the circuit, and also there I do believe what is the car Billman da Costa also involved that altercation. It's gone so very wrong for the drivers, and well, as they try to bring it back together, in fact that's Kurt Lane as he brings the car around. It's a nasty shot, and we do indeed have another safety car, ladies and gentlemen. Cautions have been deployed, and with that is our second safety car of the day, and we can understand what's happening there in terms of Landry and Senegal working together, but in the end just too close to that inside wall going to the bus stop chicane for Mark Senegal, and that was that in terms of the car spearing onwards. And at that point the front right suspension had nothing left with it, and he was just a passenger in the car. I don't think the brakes would have worked if he tried to force them through the floor. But as we look to leaders right now as they make the way on around I do believe that we do have that safety car in effect. They might be still going one more lap of racing, ladies and gentlemen. Whilst this is happening, we'll have to wait and see with regards to when we do see the safety car out there. And indeed, there it is. It is confirmed. Meanwhile, there's been a bit of drama for James Carr. As I understand it, a spin at turn number 1 for the AlphaTauri Rich Energy driver has dropped him all the way down to P19 from what was previously, I do believe, P12 overall. So it's all kicking off here, even under caution. And, well, right now, a number of our drivers, I think, still trying to get themselves settled into the order, but it gives us another breather. But goodness me, we've seen 2 safety cars and we're not even halfway through the race. Well, that does mean the remainder of the race, regardless of what cautions do happen, what incidents do happen, we're not going to be seeing any more cautions being thrown with regards to safety car deployment, as I'm to understand it. And that means for our drivers now, any instance from this point onwards, they are going to hurt even more, because the thing is here that if you're involved in an incident earlier on in the race, if you're, say, Nick Bader, for example, you can close right back up here because you have the right to chase the pack up to the safety car. So the privateer here, who was 50 seconds off of the leaders, he will now find himself, when he rejoins the pack, only 18 seconds off the leaders. He will be back in the fight for the AM class, not necessarily the victory, but definitely battling for the top 5. And the privateer right now, I think this is going to bring a huge smile to his face, because he's been going around, I think, waiting to know when the next safety car would happen. Billman da Costa has also come out of the pit lane, fast pair on the car, so he gets to go racing again for Team Bear Pope as he makes his way through the long right hand out of turn at number 5. But as they make the way on around and onwards towards what is turn at number 6. Well, meanwhile, as he catches the field, we do look from him to Mika Hendricks, who makes his way into the pits. I do believe a lot of our drivers coming on in. I think everyone deciding to take the fuel stop whilst they can. And indeed, that looks to be the entire field coming down to the pit lane here. So I think everyone having the same idea, which is coming for fuel now. And in doing so, you can have the pit stop nice and early and not have to worry about it later in the race. Will anybody stay out there? Will we see something synonymous to what's the infamous Hungarian Grand Prix of 2023 with what, not 2023, 2022, I do believe, with Lewis Hamilton being the only driver on the grid to go racing? We're not going to see anything like that in terms of just one driver being sat behind what is the safety car. And coming from Formula 1 analogies, and now back to our racing here, everyone into the pits. You can see everyone's scrambling right now, but meanwhile, Billman da Costa does stay out there, and a surprise turn, the Team Bearpo driver will be your race leader. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to need to take fuel. He's already had one pit stop due to damage picked up, and he's been able to take the fuel as part of that pit stop. Billman da Costa right now has just leapfrogged the entire field on the strategy through this opportunity, and we see the lights of the safety car off, which means the safety car is in at the end of this lap. Well, this is only going to mix things up even more as the field does start to congregate behind the safety car once again, and Billman da Costa will lead the field on down. And meanwhile, as everyone makes their way on down the back stretch here, well, David Eddy, Julian Jones there behind John Lauzon. Lauzon, in fact, has moved into the lead of the Pram class as a result of the pit stop, so it is absolutely shuffled and shaken as they come in towards the bus stop chicane. And meanwhile, in with the AM class of P2 is Ian Henneberry ahead of Kevin Manning. And we have a bit of contact there between the rear of Henneberry's car and the front of Manning's car. And I think also Jaden Calloway getting slightly involved in the mix there. I think just a little bit of an altercation between them, but no harm done. I suspect they make the way down for turn number 5. I think all the drivers are eager to go racing once again. Tim Chong's come out in P23 after all the carnage. And Nick Bader as well now got himself ahead of Jason Lynn already, who we see there on his debut race, currently P8 in the AM class, P25 overall. And the priority carrying on ahead of Carl Peterson, with Kurt Lane and Mark Senegal a bit further back. But as they come on through, in fact, I do believe it's not worked out for Mark Senegal, who may be in P28. In fact, he's just coming towards turn 7. The field's just behind him. So therefore, Billman da Costa right now, as he follows in behind what is the safety car, he will be the one to restart this race. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we bring the dashboard up in the bottom right corner of your screen, and we'll get to see him as he comes out the final corner. Will the safety car be pinned in? Yes, it does. And now we wait to go race him. Go once again as da Costa gets a bit of a slow restart there. You can see the car struggling to pick up speed, and as they make the way down towards turn at number 1, green flags are waving, and immediately it's battles again. Car running wide, that's Daniel McConnell taking to the grass, I think trying to avoid contact with cars in front. Not sure if there was contact that sent him on his way, but as they made the way out 90 right here, Logan McKenzie right now trying to keep Lovelace and Adeyeye behind as they go side by side up the hill and in towards the S's they go. Well, as they do, Adeyeye trying to poke and look on the inside, but not able to get things done versus McKenzie, and in turn, having to fend off Adeyemi instead, the prime leader. But as they power the way down towards the bus stop chicane, here comes Hendricks looking up the inside immediately because they're trying to get the AM drive between himself and Schenk in order to try and run away with this overall win and the pro win with it today, as the West Coast Best Coast driver looking to take his first win of the season. And you can see there Billman da Costa right now going defensive, going out the chicane, and with that Francois Schenk now being made to look round the outside as they roll them through turn number 5. And Schenk with the overspeed here. And I think da Costa right now trying not to fight things too hard in order to avoid losing out what could be a guaranteed AM win here. Although nothing's granted, as they say in the middle of the pack racing league. But da Costa right now is giving himself a golden opportunity to take his first AM win of the season, as meanwhile Jason Landry continues to fight here, trying to poke his way past Julian Jones for P9. And will Landry keep an eye that fell all the way down to the back of the order come the first safety car, and now back into P10 already. It is absolutely a fast and furious racing for all the drivers here, and right now those who've lost out in the early stages, it's almost as if the instance never happened. But as they make their way down towards turn number 1, everyone onto the brakes very quickly indeed. Meanwhile from them we do look towards Jaden Callaway versus Daniel McConnell. McConnell the one who took the trip to the grass at the restart the second time round, and as they make their way out tonight to right, going around the outside there, Jaden Callaway and getting the place of the ITD West driver with Matt Best looking up the inside as well, as they make their way through the S's 3 wide. There were Carl Ranieri making it 3 wide as he commits the inside into turn 3, rolling off the curb of the S's. That was very close, and as they come on through turn number 4, brilliant racing between the trio. And right now Ranieri loses a bit of the overspeed, he has to tuck in, but trying to force the move, trying to go for the double as they make their way into the bus stop chicane. Here comes Harris, here comes Onofre, also behind them is Kevin Clark. They're all still fighting one another, and as they make the way on through, going line astern here as they come down towards turn number 5. And well, meanwhile we have had Mika Hendricks, I believe, a bit of a latency issue there before he come into the pits, and no such thing. Well, thank goodness for that. We don't want to see any retirements from any of our drivers. And as Ranieri here still battles with Wes Callaway, looking around the outside now into turn number 6, and behind you see Harris there hedging his bets on that outside line, hoping that Ranieri can essentially find his way around, and what will be Harris will be pulled around with him. A little bit of wobble there, under braking into the corner, a little bit of the rear end of the car becoming looser in there, a bit of oversteer under braking, and will the number 84 driver hand to settle down and tuck in behind Callaway and Harris. Harris comes on through, and an unexpected error there from Ranieri. Could the tyres be going off early given how hard he pushed on what was the first restart? We'll have to wait and see, but our drivers roar the way down towards turn 1, and the fuel loads of these cars, whilst they will have been topped up, the cars are going to be very lively now. And speaking of being lively, Harris taking what is P16 overall there for Jaden Callaway, and P8 in the Pro Class as a result as they make the way up the hill. But we look back from the rear of the Rockefeller Racing machine now, and we can see there is Edwin Onofre. Here comes Kevin Clark as well, and the Mario Mobile behind Onofre. They're all trying to squeeze and find their way through. You'd think they were battling for the win of this race. No, they're just battling for P16 overall, but to them it is absolutely a brilliant race as they make the way up to the bus stop chicane. Well, Harris here defends the inside, knowing he does not want any too wide if he can afford it. And Onofre looks around the outside, but meanwhile Callaway just follows on through, takes the place back of Onofre, and Onofre tucks back in as they make their way down to turn number 5. We have had an incident involving Glenn Bratton. He's been towed to the pits, and therefore his race now will be in ruinous way to understand it, unless we do have any more safety cars, but I don't think any more are permitted. And as they make their way out to turn 5 on towards 6. Meanwhile, we look back to your race leaders, and well, the top 4 is pro drivers. It's Hendricks ahead of McKinsey, ahead of Schenk, ahead of Lovelace as they come on through into turn number 7. Through the right hand as they go. Second half of the race fully engaged here. 20 minutes left on the clock, plus the final lap of racing here at Watkins Glen. And as they make their way down towards turn number 1, Hendricks right now still just trying to take this win ahead of McKinsey, albeit the Tide racer will also be hoping that some luck comes his way and he can secure the win, having been thwarted in all 3 rounds to date. And as they make their way into the S's, a bit further behind, David Adeyemi running in P5, still the prime leader, still ahead of John Lauzon, but Lauzon there and looking to pick up another win as they head onwards towards the straightaway. Roaring the way on through, and for our drivers now it really does become a game of do you fight or do you wait instead. And you can see there McKinsey taking a little peek of Hendricks on the outside, but decides not to. Schenk meanwhile going for the double drafted to get to the inside and get to lead, and that's exactly what he does as the forever alone driver then moves into P1 in the 18, and now weaving them, winding their way on through. They'll all go line astern once again. And meanwhile in the AM lead battle, Billman da Costa, who restarted this race as your leader after deciding to stay out, and we believe he has got enough fuel to get to the end, and that's why he did it given the time timing of what was his previous pit stop to repair the car. Well, right now he does have Ian Henry for company, and the two Team Bearpoke drives are working together to try and make this a 1-2 in the AM class, and will it be the first 1-2 we've seen all season in any of our categories, if my memory serves me correctly, and it will be a historical moment for the team. But they've got Kevin Manning, who's only always 2 places behind him. You can see him tucked behind Daniel McConnell there, as McConnell right now, the pro driver, the wolf in amongst the sheep, if you will, and looking to try and find his way past the AMs as quickly as possible. But meanwhile, the Texas Speed Sim Racing driver, I think it's got Kevin Manning, who's itching for Watkins Glen to find his way past the Texas Speed Sim Racing driver for the simple reason he wants to hunt that and win. And right now he's been prevented from doing so as they come down in towards turn number 1. Well, absolutely a mixed bag for a number of drivers here. The shuffle the order. And let's just remind you, if you're new to what is the Middle of the Pack Racing League Series, all points are scored based on overall finishing position. There are bonus points for the podium finishes in the AM or Prime classes in terms of 3 for first, 2 for second and 1 for third, but otherwise you want to finish as high as possible overall, and that's where all your points come from. So that's why you're seeing all the different classes fight one another. And well, as they make the way down, meanwhile further behind we've got 4 wide there in the rear of your picture, and that is John ahead of Clark with always Ganesh and Bader, albeit I think there we may have just seen Glenn Bratton backing up because he is a lap down. So Bratton in the end taking the 4 wide and return to 3 wide, but Clark finding his way around Roger Ganesh and holding behind, as meanwhile Nick Bader picks his way from inside to outside, now outside to inside versus Kirk Lane. That's brilliant racing from Bader, and he gets the job done there for what is P6, and that's important given the fact that these two are fighting for the AM Cup Championship crown. Mark Senegal practically a lap down at this point. It does mean the fight's between them if they're able to carry this on, and nobody else is able to get the points over them. But here comes Lane once again, and whilst it may only be for P23, this is a huge battle when you look at the championships they come through. And there goes Wes Lane up the inside, but Bader's going to have now the inside in towards turn number 7. That's where you want to be. But meanwhile Lane says no you don't, I'm going to hold that outside line. But as he runs it wide, Bader keeps it nice and tight, and it's going to be a drag race once again all the way and down towards 90 right as they head in towards the opening right hand of Wes, the 19th time. Behind them you can see Jason Seelin and also Carl Peterson trying to catch up as they have their own little scrap. Nick Bader on the inside there, and I think he is going to seal the deal for the time being with Lane just tucking in as they make their way in towards the S's. Meanwhile roaring their way up through, and those have already roared their way onto the stretch. Into the straightaway, it is Shink ahead of McKinsey, albeit not for long, as McKinsey looking around the outside here into the bus stop chicane, looking for that move nice and early here in order to just get himself back in the lead, give himself some breathing room over the front of the car. And as they come down the round, meanwhile Jason Landry now trying to pick his way around the outside of second place prime driver of John Lauzon. Well, the pro driver here knows he's got to play it smart, given the fact the two Canadians here, good friends off the circuit but good rivals on the circuit, and both fair races in their own right. And as they make their way onwards towards turn number 6, well, Landry's on the inside here, and I think this is going to go one way and only one way, and that will be the former Landry, and indeed getting it done there as we do look from what is over the front of the car for John Lauzon as he goes defensive slightly into turn 7 to say to James Carr, look, I'm letting one go, not both of you go. And James Carr will be the next pro driver, will be eager to find his way past Lauzon, and Lauzon will be aware of the fact he's seeing Adayi just walk off into the distance with that prime lead, albeit again with all the altercations between the pros coming through and what is the pro AMs in the mix right now. I think Lauzon won't be too upset in the fact he will see those pros interfere with Adayi's race in due course. With 15 minutes left on the clock, and our drives all racing on here right now, and all the pit stops are done, so this is just going to be a run to the very end, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed anything can happen in between now and that final checkered flag will mean, well, speaking of anything that can happen, Bill DaCosta in Henry decides to swap places here with DaCosta on the outside through the S's. That's for the AM lead, and well, Matthew Best pulls off through, and meanwhile here also comes with Kevin Manning, who you can see there in the rear of the picture. He's going to battle side by side with DaCosta into the bus stop chicane. This is a second place in the AM class, and the Watkins Glen driver gets it done. Now, was it a poor run up through 90 right by DaCosta, or was it a plan that's gone very wrong? Well, either way, we're not quite sure, but what we can tell you is it's gone quite right for Kevin Manning, who now takes the second place spot and will be looking to try and chase after Ian Henry for the AM win today. But Henry right now will be just placing his bets and keeping his cool and chasing after what will be Daniel McConnell in front, using him as the pace car, and that way he should be able to stay clear. That will be the mindset he plays to, but whether it'll work out like that in practice, he won't be certain, because Matt Best right now, the privateer representing Texas Speed Sim Racing, alongside what is Daniel McConnell in front of him. They'll be looking to try and clear these AM drives and start to work together to close down Aaron Lahr and Julian Jones. as they head on to the start-finish straight. Milan Harris has had to be towed to the pits after an incident. We now do have what is 27 drivers out on circuit, one in the pits and 2 retirees. We've also got Jaden Callaway coming to the pits there. Now, is that for damage, or is that alternative for a drive-through penalty due to incident points? We're not quite certain, but he makes his way on down the pit lane, and we'll have to wait and see if the car does peel on in. We'll keep an eye on it outside our commentary booth window, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, as Logan McKenzie powers his way on through the S's and up towards what will be at the bus stop chicane, we're holding ahead of Franz Washing and also Mika Hendricks. And in fact, we can tell you that Jaden Callaway has had a quick stop, so I believe it was repair works to the car. He's been towed back to his pit box, so I think that might be the retirement of the car. Milan Harris has retired as well, unfortunately, so we have got 3 confirmed retirees and perhaps a 4th on its way, as they make the way on through there. McKinsey still keeping Shink just at arm's length, but so close between them as they come through. And now this is the lead pack of what is your top 10. In fact, that is indeed, it is your top 10 there. Aaron Lyle right at the back of the field, and they're all trying to stay together in this fight for as long as they possibly can. But meanwhile, speaking of big battles, again for the bus stop chicane, it's Bader versus one is lane. In fact, car going slowly there off camera. That was Roger Ganesh in the rear of your picture coming through the bus stop chicane, who was offline, and now Nick Bader still holding lane at bay, and these two are fighting for that AM Championship crown. They're now battling for P5 in the AM class. They are gradually picking their way through the field, so it will be between them, given the fact that Mark Senegal is still down in P25 or what is P10 in the AM class, so therefore would not get enough points to leapfrog the pair of them. But as these two make the way around, well, they'll be falling further and further away from the rest of the field. But right now they won't be mindful of that. All they'll be mindful is the fact that the one wants to finish ahead of the other, as that's where the crown will be and the first monetary prize of the season will go. But as they head on towards turn number 1, well, here comes Lane looking up the inside in towards 90 right, onto the brakes, he gets ready to go. Both cars leaning in there, as you can see the body weight transfer, and as they make the way through, Bader taking a nice wide line. Lane meanwhile being conservative on that inside lane to give his rival plenty of space to race with, and with great respect being shown between the two of them. And as they make the way up the hill through the S, is still plenty of car with, and therefore giving each other plenty of opportunity to build the speed and will be the drag race up towards the bus stop chicane. But right now it does look like Lane on that slightly tighter line will just start to inch ahead, have not had to turn the car for as wide a circumference, and with that into the bus stop chicane, he would argue that he's got that inside line. But I think Bader's going to try and hang it all the way around the outside as they make the way onto the brakes. He does so, and Lane once again having to back off, and Bader right now absolutely committed into the bus stop every time. It doesn't matter which way he goes into the corner, he will get the job done. That's his mindset being demonstrated there, and he wants this crown right now after that unexpected win at Willow Springs. He doesn't want to let an opportunity go to waste. But meanwhile, we look back to the front of the field and we apologise for our time tower showing Roger Ganesh as the leader of this race, but due to a jump to the pits for Ganesh, that explains why it's a slight error with our timing tower there, but it will gradually resolve itself as our drivers go on to their next lap. And we can see Logan McKenzie and Francois Shink starting to pull away from Hendricks and Lovelace here as the gap opens up to half a second as they make their way up for the S's. But again, this could just be the calm before the storm, and Hendricks right now may just be watching this at a distance for the West Coast Best Coast team and getting ready to pounce in the final 5 minutes. We think this is going to go all the way down to the wire in terms of who's going to be your overall winner today, and everybody right now just itching, playing the game of waiting up for somebody else to make the first move here as they all head up through the right to left. As they come on through, they'll also keep an eye on that clock, and the crew chiefs will be on the radio to them saying you need to start thinking about getting a move on here if you want to win this race. And will mean while John Lau's on a bit further behind here in P6, hold on right now, there's been an incident for David Adeyi, I believe. What is the bus stop chicane? Indeed, it's gone very wrong as I'm hearing in my ear, and for Adeyi, who was 1 point lead in the Pro-Am race, well, right now he's all the way down in P19, and it's come at a very bad time as he does rejoin, and he's going to have what is, I do believe, third lane and Nick Bader come up behind him very shortly, and they'll be looking to get involved with him, no question about it, as Lauzon being chased here by James Kahn. In fact, Lauzon's starting to fall away from the top 5. The top 5 are pros, now breaking away from the Pro-Am leader. They have got the gap up to 1.05 seconds here as they cross the timeline. I think Lauzon might be starting to feel the pinch of the tyre life to a degree. I think all the drivers will be, but I think the pros just able to find a little bit more out of the car. Meanwhile, Aaron Last still with Julian Jones right behind in the battle for P2 in the Prime class, and will these two right now absolutely glued together. But keep in mind for Jones as well, if he finishes P3 in the Prime class, he will be your Prime Cup champion, albeit subject to any shoes inquiries after the race. And as they make their way on through turn number 4 right now, the 133 driver here from ITC West knows he doesn't need to do anything dramatic in order to take that car. They head in towards the bus stop chicane and making the way on down. And meanwhile, further behind Kevin Manning here looking at what is the move versus Matt Best. In fact, I believe Best may be defending quite hard versus Manning, conscious of the Photon Clan driver, eager to make his way through, and Edwin Offray goes very wide then. The rearview picture almost losing it as they made the way out of the bus stop chicane, but catch the car just in time. Does the privateer in the 99, and then Carl Ranieri following them on through. But as they head down toward what will be turn number 6, meanwhile further back, this is Nick Vader right now on the outside, battling with Kurt Lane, also David Adeyee, and well, Adeyee's incident has brought him into this battle, but it has not disheartened his enthusiasm to go battling with regards to drivers of other classes. They all fight over what is P19 that Lane's leading here as they make the way out to turn number 5 using the runoff area. They're allowed to do so. They're allowed to run that corner all the way to the extremities, and as they head in towards turn number 6, with Lane ahead of Vader currently, but still what is the best part of 7 minutes plus the final lap on the clock. This is still going to go down to the wire, and meanwhile further behind Jason Lynn on his debut, currently holding on to P7 in the AM class and trying to keep Carl Peterson at bay. And we jump on board here with Carl Peterson in the Caboose Crew machine, and these two have been fighting one another for practically the whole of the race since the restart, so the best part now of what has been 19 minutes. And it's great to see these two. They might not be up there battling for the win in the AM class or the top 5, but they're still enjoying the fight there and enjoying the rivalry of their pace. But as they make their way down towards turn number 1, pushing into the absolute limit now as Peterson in terms of trying to get every mile an hour out of the car as they go on to the brakes here. And we're mindful, of course, that when you're this close, you do have to brake slightly earlier than normal to avoid making contact with the driver in front, the natural concertina effect, as it's so often coined by the likes of David Coulthard. And as they make their way through turn number 2, see there Peterson trying to put himself to the inside, trying to get Lynn to think a move is coming, just simply trying to get into his rival's head. But Lynn right now showing no signs of being daunted as they make their way through turn number 4. But Peterson as well, I mean, just trying to give the car a bit of breathing in there, perhaps a bit worried about the temperature coming over the front of the car. But with the overspeed now, trying to look up the inside into the bus stop chicane, but putting out too early, and as a result it seems they're just not able to quite gain the overspeed he would like. But of course plenty more opportunities to go in this fight as they make the way on through. But as they do, the leaders have gone on to another lap. James Carr is into the pit lane, it should be pointed out, and well, he's coming in from what was at the time battling inside the top 10, the Alpha Rich Energy driver. I believe this is a drive-through penalty for instant points being accrued as he makes his way on down, and as such that is going to be a dismal end to his race in terms of fact he'll put him well out of position. But as it puts him out of position, meanwhile it promotes others. And speaking of a driver who's still promoting himself through the field, he just found his way past what is Mika Hendricks. It's Jason Landry for Sunday GT Turtles, who's still trying to push on here for the win to take what would be a 3rd win in a row as they make the way down the back straight in towards the bus stop chicane, looking for it but can't find his way through. Meanwhile Lovelace battling with Lauzon as they go too wide on through, and in the end Lauzon does get ahead just about as Lovelace. I don't know how there was a contact between the two of them, but that's testament to their racing skill and also their confidence in racing so close. But Lovelace bouncing over the curve there as they make their way through turn number 5 and onwards towards turn 6 they go. But Lauzon moving into P5, and right now the prime driver looking to take another overall top 5. It's been some time since he's taken one of those, but when he can take them, he'll more than happily push for them as they head in towards turn 6. 5 minutes left on the clock now. We are starting to come into the closing stages. The cars will be incredibly light on fuel, but also the tyres will be well past their use by, and as they make the way on towards what will be lap number 27 here on the Watkins Glen Classic Cup course, will ride their way onwards. And here comes what is Lovelace looking for a potential move, or is he? No, he tucks in behind, and I think conscious of the fact they're just losing the top 4 pack more and more every lap and trying to push the nails on along. I think here it might be a bit too late with that gap up to 2.1 seconds already. It may be a gap now that sees them battle for P5, and that's the best they're going to get out of this race. But meanwhile, looking further back, Lovelace here, not Lovelace I should say, Manning, Kevin Manning that is, let's in what is Edwin Offray going through turn number 2, and perhaps Kevin Manning starting to resign himself to the fact he may not be able to catch up to Ian Hennebrey come the end, so instead what he'll do is let the pros pull him up there. As they head on down towards the bus stop chicane, we can see it was Hennebrey a bit further up the road breaking away in what is the Bear Poke Zero machine as he's got that Best behind him. And meanwhile, a bit of an error there from Kevin Manning. In fact, he's going to have to take to the escape grass as he brings it back onto the inside of turn 5. There might be an automated slowdown for that, and the Photon Clan driver right now looking vulnerable to Billman DaCosta, who's catching up in P3 in the AM class, and that Bear Poke 1-2 in the AM class is becoming more and more realistic with every corner turned at this rate. I don't think Manning's having to serve slowdown. I think it is penalty enough, his instant, his mistake if you will, but the 251 driver there won't want to make that mistake again in a hurry, because that could see him taking off the second step of the AM podium. as they come in towards turn number 7. Meanwhile, we do look from these AM drivers to the ones further back, and Lane and Bader with David Adeyemi getting clear of both of them, which does mean their fight now carries on, albeit they'll both be trying to chase after the toe of Adeyemi in order to be pulled along by the prime driver, and that's what Lane will be hoping. It's possible that his prime counterpart will just simply pull him away to victory with 3 minutes left on the clock. Here comes Bader up the inside, trying to dive for it, but in the end, the door being shut firmly in his face and to take towards the raised curve in the inside grass. I think Bader just thinking there might have been an opportunity, but Lane saying no as they come down towards turn number 1, and neither driver wanting to go slow, no doubt about that. And well, that's racing for you, ladies and gentlemen. As meanwhile, at the front of the field, he fell all the way to the back of it. He's back on the top of it now. Jason Landry for Sunday GT Turtles takes the lead there over Francois Schink into the bus stop chicane. But again, this will be very lightly tactical, knowing that right now it's not this lap that matters. It's going to be the 2 after it to come that matter more and more, and that final lap will be the ultimate conundrum, which is where do you want to be? Do you want to be the leader? Do you want to be the second car in the back, or perhaps even more so on the long stretch out of the S's? Do you want to be car number 3 with the double toe? Well, we've got 2 minutes left, about a minute 40 when we get to the start-finish line to go on to the next lap. So we've got 2 more laps remaining. We will see a grand total of 30 laps completed here today. And well, right now Watkins Glen is roaring alive with the sound of 2.4 litre boxer engines, and this could not be closer regardless of where you're in the field. As onto the lap they go. Schink looks the inside versus Landry. He wants to go early here as they break the way into 90 right, and well, as they do, you can see that Landry trying to keep the door as firmly closed as he can without making contact. Schink's made to back out, but then Logan McKenzie gets a bit too close and taps his rival on the rear. Now as they make the way up the hill, we jump on board, looking down from the Albertine Bridge Energy drives roof over the front of the car. He's got Mika Hendricks accompanied right behind as they drag race their way onwards towards what will be the bus stop chicane. And well, Hendricks right now so close, in fact pushing McKenzie along. You can see that McKenzie suddenly gaining some speed, and therefore it's going to be bumped after plenty between them. As McKenzie passes 1, he's going to pass 2, or is he, as they make the way into the braking zone? Well, Landry holds outside, he defends it, and as they do, well, Hendricks is forced backwards to P4, Schink pulls to P3. Meanwhile, behind him, Lovelace still chasing after Lauzon, but the prime leader's breaking away. Julian Jones meanwhile now trying to fight his way past Lovelace, eager to go hunting after Lauzon. He doesn't have to win the prime race here today to take the prime cup, but that'll be his goal. He'll want every win and every point overall for that later on in the season overall championship crown. And as they make the way in towards turn 6, 1 more lap will remain. It's only a slender, it's 10 to 15 seconds from the finish of the race, but they have to do 1 more. That's the way the rules go. And as they come in towards what will be turn number 7, well, right now all the drivers pushing it to the limit. La there also behind, trying to find his way back into the fight versus Daniel McConnell and Jones as they go on to a 30th lap of racing here at Watkins Glen, charging to and fro. Meanwhile, in the AM class, you can't quite see him. He's obscured by the trail in front of him. But Ian Hennebury has broken away from Kevin Manning. The gap is 1.6 seconds. The confidence will be brimming now as the white flag waves. But meanwhile, in the battle of Lane versus Nick Bader, this is for the AM Cup crown as they made their way in towards turn number 7. And right now, Lane still ahead, just holding on ahead of Bader. But looking up the inside of the EU as they make their way on down in towards turn number 1. Well, as they do, we look from them to the leaders as now all the gloves are going to be off. Landry leads as they make their way down the back straightaway, but here comes McKenzie looking on the inside of the bus stop chicane. Landry's going to go 2 wide with him, side by side they go, knowing that the outside line is preferable. He can defend it better, and as they come down through the chicane in towards turn number 5, Landry's still holding on for now. Meanwhile, off camera, Bader has got ahead of Lane in the battle for the AM Cup crown, and as they make the way out to turn number 5, onwards they go towards turn 6, McKenzie looking around the outside here, trying to give it one last gasp to get the inside into turn 7. Landry's not going to give in as they head in towards the left-hander. It's been 2 for now every step of the race. McKenzie gets a nose ahead, but will he be able to find in the final corner? He runs wide. Landry's on the outside and McKenzie's back there to the inside, but Landry's got the overspeed, and as they head on through the final corner, it's going to be a drag race to the line. The checker flag waves, but is it Landry or is it McKenzie? It's Landry by a hair's width ahead of Francois Schink P2, McKenzie P3, Hendricks P4, Zachary Lovelace P5. There'll be John Lauzon, your prime winner P6, and a Julian Jones with Daniel McConnell, Aaron Larr and Edwin Northrick completing a top 10. Currently and Matt Best to P12, and Ian Hennebury takes his first AM win of the season. We get a full fan winner in 4 races. P13 for Bear Pope 0 ahead of Kevin Manning and Bill DaCosta. Tim Chong comes on through, but what about Bader versus Lane? This is for the AM Cup crown, and it's going to go one way. It's going the way of the privateer of Nick Bader, who will take it provisionally at the line. ahead of Kirk Lane, who finishes just behind him in P6 in the AM class, to Nick Bader's P5 in the AM class, from then P19, P20 overall. Jason Lynn comes up for his debut, P7 in the AM class here, as he makes his way to the line as well, and it'll be a P21. He'll be pleased with that, knowing just how fast, frantic and frenetic the racing was here today. And in your last finish on the lead lap will be Carl Peterson, who just finishes behind the lap down car, Roger Ganesh, who was P25, but for Carl Peterson, P22. And goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, what an absolutely breathtaking race from lights out to checkered flag. It was absolutely relentless, and the safety car periods may have brought the race in to quite a slow halt in terms of momentum, but it didn't do anything to stop our drivers' appetites for going racing on the green flag. And will Jason Landry, with that win, making it 3 wins in a row, and will be your provisional, what is Pro Cup champion, there's no doubt about it, with that result. And in the Pro-Am class, with what is that second place, it will be Julian Jones, who has taken the Cup crown provisionally, and will meanwhile Ian Hennebury may have taken the AM win, his first AM win of the season, but it will be Nick Bader, I do believe, who is going to be your provisional AM Cup champion as they make their way on into the pit lane. And ladies and gentlemen, give them all a round of applause, whether they won the race today or not. What an absolutely brilliant way to conclude the Classic Cup here in the United States of America and on the North American continent, in the fact we have had 3 races so far that have been absolutely non-stop and unpredictable, and now a 4th race here today that has just seen things go to the limit as Jason Landry does donuts to celebrate what will be the Cup Championship crown and 3 wins in a row. Well, he's playing up to the crowd there, and you can understand why. I don't think the tyres have got much left, nor has the fuel tank, and indeed he toes the pits. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's take you through those race results, subject to any stewards' inquiries, and there may be some. So after an incredible 45 minutes of racing here today at Watkins Glen International in round 4 of 8 in the middle of the pack, Racing League Winter GR86 Championship for 2024, brought to you on iRacing. Jason Landry taking the overall and pro win for Sunday GT Turtles by what was a 10th in the end over Francois Schenk for Forever Alone. AlphaTauri and Rich Energy's Logan McKenzie at 3rd place on the podium once again, but not quite able to take that win here long lusts after 4, with Meek Hendricks P4 there for West Coast, Best Coast. 4 different teams inside the top 4, and 5 teams continued there, with Zach Lovelace P5 there for Texas Speed Sim Racing. Wasn't to be a podium today, but a top 5 and a hard-earned one at that. John Lauzon P6 there, your Pro-Am winner for West Coast, Best Coast, ahead of ITT West Julian Jones, your run-up in the Pro-Am class, and a great drive from the pair of them there, and congratulations to John Lauzon for picking up what is his 2nd win of the season, if my memory serves me correctly. And Daniel McConnell there, P8, interrupting the flow of Pro-Am drives for Texas Speed Sim Racing, ahead of Aaron Law, who will complete the prime podium, the privateer, in 3rd place of the class, but P9 overall. Edwin Offred, P10 there, the privateer, once again showing a silent but stoic racing style to finish inside the overall top 10, ahead of your AM winner and best of the rest overall, Ian Hennebury, Bear Pope Zero's driver, who continues the train of a different AM winner every single round. That's 4 AM winners in 4 races. Could we see a 5th in 2 weeks' time? We'll have to wait and see whether somebody can break the duck. Kevin Manning, P12 there, 2nd place in the AM class of Photon Clan, and a great drive, but just didn't have enough to try and hunt down Ian Hennebury at the end. And Billman DeCoste there for Team Bear Pope. It wasn't quite the 1-2 that Bear Pope wanted, but he'll take the 3rd spot on the podium, and it's still a double podium for the Bear Pope outfit. Kevin Clark, P14, the priority ahead of Tim Chong with the Slipstream Sloth driver, when unfortunate mid-instant cost him the ability to chase after the win in the AM class, but still ahead of David Adiyi, the privateer, who lost out in the midpoint of the race after leading the Pro-Am class for so long, and he'll be frustrated at that. And as we can see, wrapping up the top 20, Nick Bader, who's P5 in the AM class there. The privateer is provisionally your Cup champion in the AM class, as he did manage to finish up ahead of both Kirk Lane and also Mark Senegal, with Kirk Lane just behind P18 overall, and then Carl Rennie and Matt Best completing your top 20. Jason Seelin on his debut, P21, ahead of Caboose Crew's Carl Peterson, who was your last lead lap finisher. And then finishing a lap down, Mark Senegal for Sunday GT Turtles, the privateer Glenn Bratton, and Roger Ganesh for Sunday GT Turtles, who will finish your lap down finishers P25. James D. Carr finishing 3 laps down for Alpha Touring Rich Energy, an unfortunate end to his race with what's that drive-through penalty. And then Jaden Callaway and Milan Harris, they'll be the first of your 2 classified non-finishers, as they did not finish the race within 5 laps of the race winner, and neither did Jermaine Warren or Jesse Jamison Jr. So 4 retirees in the end, 26 finishers, and of our 26 finishers, 22 on the lead lap. And now let's come on to what is the class finishing positions, because of course these are worth bonus points in the Prime and also the AM classes. But starting on the Pros, they don't get any bonus points, but they get the pride of being at the front of the field. Jason Landry taking your Pro win for Sunday GT Turtles ahead of Forever Alone's Franz Washing and Alpha Touring Rich Energy's Logan McKinsey. It was a further 3 attempts to Mika Hendricks in the end, who managed to take P4 by 2.6 seconds over Zach Lovelace with the Texas Speed Sim Racing driver, leading home at 5th and 6th ahead of teammate Daniel McConnell. Then Edwin Offret, Carl Ranieri completing our finishes on the lead lap down to P8. P9 for James D. Carr, 3 laps down for Alpha Touring Rich Energy, and then we had the 2 retirees of Jaden Callaway and Milan Harris. We then come on to the Prime class. And as we can see here, taking all 3 of the bonus points for the top step of the podium, West Coast, Best Coast, John Lauzon ahead of your Prime Cup Provisional Champion, Julian Jones there for ITD West, and then Aaron Lahr, 3rd place, the privateer there, and a return to the podium for the 147 driver. Kevin Clark, P4 ahead of David Adiyi, and then Matt Best finishing P6, the last of your classified finishers of the race, and then Jermaine Warren with that unfortunate retirement, what was 22 laps from the end, and will not to be his day in the 113. We then come on to the AM class, last but by no means least, and as we can see here, your AM winner, Ian Hennebury for Bear Pope Zero, our full fan winner, his first win of the season. It's been some time since we've seen Hennebury on the podium, and let alone, I do in fact think this is his first ever his first ever AM win. Feel free to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I swear it is, and if so, congratulations to the Bear Pope Zero driver for taking his first ever AM win. A great drive there, 2 seconds clear of Photon Clan's Kevin Manning. Bilmon DaCosta completing the top 3 for Team Bear Pope ahead of Slipstream Sloth's Tim Chong, who in the end was a further 17 seconds down, not to be his day to finish on the podium, but to be his day to stay ahead of Nick Bader and Kurt Lane, and with Bader taking that P5, taking the Provisional Cup Championship with it. Kurt Lane P6 will be gutted to miss out on the championship if that's the way it goes, but the Bear Pope Zero driver will know there's plenty more to come this season, and Jason C. Lynn at P7 there ahead of Caboose Crew's Carl Peterson in their great little scrap, but in the end it was Lynn who got the upper hand. Then finishing a lap down, P9 Mark Senegal, the same for Glenn Bratton, and also for Roger Ganesh, who was best of the rest of the class for Sunday GT Turtles, and Jesse Jamison Jr., the sole retiree, retiring after 2 laps of racing, and therefore non-classified. And will that conclude your run-through of the standings, ladies and gentlemen? Now, of course, we should point out at this point, given the fact this broadcast has occurred before the racing incidents have been reviewed by the stewards, we cannot confirm who your Cup Championship takers will be. However, what we can do is say that provisionally, as we see on screen here are your Classic Cup winners, subject to the outcomes of post-race stewarding decisions, and this is based on the understanding of how the points would be assigned if all the finishing positions are as classified currently, and would be in the Pro class, Jason Landry for the Sunday GT Turtles, Julian Jones in the Prime class for ITT West, and Nick Bader, the privateer, in the AM class. But we will, at the start of the round number 5 broadcast, give you a full update on the outcome of the Classic Cup as part of our update on the championship standings, and then we will formally announce who your Classic Cup winners are. So these are provisional, don't take them as gospel yet, because the stewards' verdicts are still to come out, but for now, congratulations to our trio on provisionally taking the Cup Championship crowns, and we look forward to confirming that in 2 weeks' time. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's broadcast, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting or itching to be on the grid in the Middle of the Pack Racing League community series, or perhaps you just want to know a little bit more about us behind the scenes in terms of what we do, well, the best thing to do is join our official Discord. Invite link available on screen there. It's the #1 place to go to if you want to sign up or just know more about our series, or just chat to the guys and girls who make up the community as the community continues to grow from strength to strength over the course of 2024. And I can tell you firsthand, ladies and gentlemen, the community started out with its series in 2022, in early 2022, and it just continues to thrive and absolutely grow, and there's never been a better time to be part of the Middle of the Pack Racing League community, regardless of where you are in the world. Alternative, if you don't want to go to the Discord, perhaps you're a little bit shy or prefer social media, well, the best thing to do is follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/MOP Racing. We can stay up to date with all the latest announcements regarding our series, and also the trials and tribulations of the official Middle of the Pack Racing League esports teams. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, our attention turns to the mid-season break, and after it, we will return for round number 5 and the commencement of the Far East Cup. We will be back getting underway with the race, and at least for our drivers, it will be on Wednesday, the 21st of February, but we'll be bringing it to you as if it were live from the Okayama International Circuit in Japan as of Saturday, the 24th of February 2024. And with a new cup on the horizon, it's going to be a reset for all of our drivers, but the overall championship carrying on as well, where it will be Jason Landry in the Pro class who leads the way. In the Pro-Am class, it'll be Julian Jones, and meanwhile, we believe in the Am class, it is still going to be ever close between Nick Bader and what is Kirk Lane. How will the story continue? We'll find out 2 weeks from today, but until then, thank you very much for watching. We've been Middle of the Pack Racing League. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain a Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, have a great weekend ahead. Remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.